Hey, what's up, ghouls and gals? Today I'm very excited about this. We are beginning Cult Horror Movie Week on this channel. And if you've been here since around 2020, you probably remember that is when I started doing themed movie weeks here. And Cult Horror Movie Week was one of the first ones that I did. And I have not revisited this topic as a whole here since 2022, so I feel reinvigorated. I have so many new picks for you guys that I've never really mentioned on the channel, so I'm very excited to bring this topic to you. I am very passionate about bringing awareness to cults. If you know me in my personal life, I am very sus about things. And once again, these are not cult classic horror movies. No, these are movies about cults. And I will leave the playlist link down below because I did start a playlist. There's already 12 videos in there pertaining to this series, so I'm excited to add more. And I will leave a letterbox list link down below as well, and I will add all of the older films that I mentioned pertaining to cults. So if you enjoy, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more, check out all of my links down below if you'd like to see any more of me or support the channel any further. Like I said, I have 10 picks for you, and I almost all of these, I would say 95% of these movies I have not talked about. Also, maybe next month we can dive into more documentaries about cults because I've watched some doozies lately. So let's start off with number 10 and Them That Follow from 2019. Set in the deep woods of Appalachia, where believers handle death-dealing snakes to prove themselves before God, a pastor's daughter holds a secret that threatens to tear apart her community. There is a documentary from 2020 that corresponds to this whole movie called Alabama Snake. And if you're going to watch Them That Follow, I highly recommend also watching Alabama Snake. Moving on to number 9 in a film that I think would pair nicely with Them That Follow, Jugface from 2013. When she learns the supernatural pit worshipped by her remote community in the woods has demanded her as a blood sacrifice, Ada struggles to find a way to survive, while the pit lashes out in anger. This one does star Larry Fessenden, and you guys know my Hear Me Out is 1995 Larry Fessenden specifically, but other than that, he is one of my favorite directors. At number 8, we have Jackals from 2017. Set in the 1980s, an estranged family hires a cult deprogrammer to take back their teenage son from a murderous cult, but find themselves under siege when cultists surround their cabin, demanding the boy back. And I do really enjoy seeing the process of deprogramming. It's very interesting to me. And I also love a film set in the 1980s that's not necessarily an 80s film, because I like to see how people interpret that decade, because I feel like everybody had different experiences in the 80s, and as a 90s baby, I feel like I just missed out on a fantastic decade. Speaking of the 80s, let's talk about The Children of the Corn. From 1984, a young couple is trapped in a remote town where a dangerous religious cult of children believe everyone over the age of 18 must be killed. I still have not seen the remake that came out maybe last year or 2 years ago. I feel like this original was so camp and so silly and just so... Linda Hamilton was amazing, and I'm just... I've heard good things. I'm nervous to see where they would take it. I'm also kind of tired of the Children of the Corn remakes. At number 6, let's talk about The Devil's Reign from 1975. A Satanist cult leader is burned alive by a local church. He vows to come back and enslave every descendant of his congregation by the power of the book and blood contracts in which they sold their soul to the devil. I have another 70s pick on this list that we'll talk about in just a few minutes that I think would pair a great double feature with this one. But first, let's talk about, at number 5, Apartment 7A. From 2024, a struggling young dancer finds herself drawn in by dark forces when a peculiar, well-connected older couple promise her a shot at fame. And if you've seen Rosemary's Baby, this does pertain to Terry's story from that, from the novel, or from the book, from the movie. I just don't think it gave me what I was wanting from, because I am a big fan of the book for Rosemary's Baby, and I feel like it was trying to give us Terry's backstory in a way that wasn't her initial backstory. But whatever, it was still a good film. Julia Gardner acted her ass off in that one. Let's move on to a recent Shudder release that I was so impressed by, that I absolutely loved, and that is Dark Match. From 2024, a small-time wrestling company accepts a well-paying gig in a backwoods town, only to learn too late that the community is run by a mysterious cult leader with mysterious plans for their match. This one does star Chris Jericho. This is, if you are a wrestling fan, this is a really solid pick. Some great gore, some great matches. It was such a solid film. And it's not played for jokes. It is played so seriously that the cult does feel menacing. At number 3, let's throw it all the way back to 1943 with The Seventh Victim. A woman is in search of her missing sister and uncovers a satanic cult in New York's Greenwich Village and finds they could have something to do with her sibling's random disappearance. And speaking of Rosemary's Baby, I think this would be a fantastic, this list is full of double features, okay? This would be a fantastic double feature with Rosemary's Baby. All right, at number 2, let's talk about Race with the Devil from 1975. This is the one that I think would be a great double feature with The Devil's Reign. Two couples vacationing together in an RV from Texas to Colorado are terrorized after they witness a murder during a satanic ritual. And speaking of RV, like a horror movie set in like an RV or like having a travel horror, let me know if that's a genre that you're into hearing more about, because I think that I want to dive more in. I'm not like a travel girly. I am very much happy at home where I am. So to kind of like movies like Touristas or things like that just make me so uncomfortable because it's really hard to trust your surroundings in a place where you're really unfamiliar, and it is a terrifying subgenre altogether. Traveling abroad, Hostel even. Ugh. But moving on to a seriously underrated pick, The Other Lamb from 2019. A girl born into an all-female cult led by a man in her compound begins to question his teachings and her own sanity. This one is one of the most beautifully shot films on this list. Honestly, almost every scene could be just a still photo in a museum. Like a lot of the way they're framed and shot and lit, they're just so beautiful. But it really is a terrifying story, and it's very sad. And I wouldn't necessarily consider this horror, but in the context of it being and dealing with a cult, I would lump it in with horror. So that was 10 more picks for cult horror movies that I have not really mentioned on this channel. Let me know if you added something to your watch list. If you plan on watching something, I did go ahead and leave everywhere that you could either stream, rent, or buy these films in case you are interested in that. Join me on Wednesday for a breakdown of 1988's Bad Dreams, which is often compared to Nightmare on Elm Street, but with a cult. A film with a truly distressing scene of people being lit on fire. But we'll get there on Wednesday, so join me. And if you're over on my Patreon, on my $2 tier, you will get the movie to watch. So on that note, I will see you on Wednesday for some Bad Dreams. And don't forget to check out my letterbox list if you would like to follow along with Cult Horror Movie Week and all of the other movies that I've talked about in this subgenre. So I will see you Wednesday. Sayonara, spooky